After Apple's giant update, Facebook is on the verge of collapse, and this change from Apple was deliberate. The world's largest company is gradually destroying Facebook, and for now, it looks scary for the company of Mark Zuckerberg. Then Elon Musk came out and criticized Facebook for how it innovates and operates its business. Moreover, Elon openly criticized Apple and addressed several issues that the world's biggest corporation still faces today. This is a messy situation, so let's explain it. The rivalry just got deeper between Facebook and Apple. The richest man on earth has clearly chosen a side. The bane of Facebook's existence right now is definitely Apple, and the electronics titan clearly knows it. And Apple is not going to make it any easier for Facebook. Apple has long positioned itself as a privacy defender, directly pitting itself against Facebook. And we all know Facebook's problems with privacy policies. With the introduction of Apple's new operating system, tensions between the two titans have definitely increased. Mark Zuckerberg's Meta and its business model are taking a huge blow due to it. Facebook, which is also the subject of a significant federal antitrust action, portrays Apple as a giant limiting Meta's capacity to grow. The most popular mobile operating systems, such as Apple's iOS, decide and, in some cases, dramatically limit their capacity to develop their goods and services and even reach their clients, according to a statement from Meta. You probably know people who use an iPhone once and refuse to go back, right? Well, Meta really hates that. According to the conglomerate, Apple's been using certain models meant to unlock users into iOS devices and discourage them from migrating to Android or other devices for many years. This spells major trouble for Meta as it shatters Zuck's dreams of his virtual world. And it's not just Meta that has an issue, either. Other, comparatively smaller IT firms, primarily app developers, have also targeted Apple's market dominance. Epic Games, Match Group, and Spotify are just a few of the companies represented by the Coalition for App Fairness, which submitted a letter to the NTIA criticizing the Apple App Store as well. Apple defended its App Store as a pro-consumer and pro-developer economic engine for app developers in a 15-page reply it published in response to the NTIA assessment. The company's response includes a discussion of the consumer-facing security and privacy protection it offers. Not just that, in court proceedings against Epic Games, the creator of Fortnite, and in meetings with lawmakers seeking to impose additional restrictions on how major app stores function, the tech giant offered a similar defense. Apple also emphasized the success of third-party apps in its App Store, especially ones that are in direct competition with rivals that are owned by Apple, by highlighting the preference for Spotify over Apple Music or Google Maps over Google Maps app. And Instagram and Facebook aren't losing popularity anytime soon, either. And you have to remember, Apple and Facebook have been at war for years. When Apple introduced a privacy feature that requires apps to get users' consent before tracking them, the tension between the tech titans really boiled over. And even the motive behind Apple's new feature is highly debated. So here's the thing, this app tracking transparency feature might look harmless, but there's much more to it in the big picture. Many apps already use the default settings we agree to when installing them to monitor our web activities, but when a giant like Apple does it, there are many more repercussions. The change, which affects Facebook's $86 billion in yearly revenue from tailored ads, has really hit home for the social media company. No wonder Zuck and Apple CEO Tim Cook don't get along. The social network has been fighting Apple for months, placing full-page advertisements in major publications and experimenting with pop-ups inside the Facebook app to convince users to agree to its tracking. Due to the success of its targeted advertising business model, Facebook portrayed Apple's upgrade as being more about making money than any concern about privacy. Apple disagrees though, and has repeatedly said that the change is meant to provide people more control over the data being collected. Now, we don't exactly know what the intention behind the feature is, but it speaks volumes that the majority of the iOS users signed on. And to all these issues and criticism, Meta also is facing a lot of backlash over metaverse. Constant criticisms of this innovation is becoming normal. For example, Elon Musk is unimpressed by the metaverse. One of the biggest innovators in the world isn't persuaded that we will all soon vanish into this hyper-virtual world that Mark Zuckerberg has promised. Musk said, "I don't know if I necessarily buy into this metaverse stuff, although people talk to me a lot about it," in answer to a question regarding the metaverse. He continued by saying he really didn't expect a time when people would prefer to remain in the virtual world that organizations like Meta are promoting. According to the billionaire, even with a screen on their faces, individuals are unlikely to give up the real world and switch to a virtual one. And he can't see people preferring to walk around with a screen attached to their face. He gave the example of his childhood, where kids were told not to sit too close to the TV, and how Meta's now asking people to do pretty much exactly that. Even Meta's Vice President for Communications and International Affairs, Nick Clegg, has admitted that the experience is still insufficient. Neuralink, in Elon's opinion, is a better option than VR glasses. A highly developed Neuralink could eventually entirely immerse you in a virtual reality. Another one of his businesses, the company aims to create brain and human-machine interfaces. Musk made his remark on the metaverse at the same time that Facebook changed its name to Meta. After the announcement, there have been many worries in the tech world, mostly regarding the dystopian ramifications of something like metaverse and the privacy issues surrounding data given Facebook's tainted past. The eccentric industrialist said that he may simply be too old to comprehend this cutting-edge technology. Musk criticized the metaverse for lacking compelling use cases and providing consumers with a subpar experience. And it's no surprise there's a very long journey still to go if Zuckerberg ever plans for his brainchild to become the new norm. The metaverse, as it exists now, is primarily a hyped-up branding exercise for a number of virtual worlds, some of which require VR gear to access. Critics point out that the VR boom of the 1990s and the emergence of virtual worlds like Second Life in the early 2000s were essentially previous attempts at this technology. And we all know how well that worked out. And that's it for today.